I said, don't push me, cause I'm close to the edge. I'm trying not to lose my head. Ha, 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 ha. It's like a jungle sometimes. It make me wonder how I keep from going under.
How you keep from going under?
Over here, flexing.
Friday Flex, welcome. There we go. I'm going to the gym too, so now I can got a little development happening. Just a little bit, just a little small.
That's all that matters.
Small striations,
Gains.
Small gains.
I command you to grow.
You better grow. All right, welcome to our Friday Flex. This is our third series or third episode of Variety, the Spice of Life. And
sprinkle it.
You gotta, yeah.
Unlike what you did the other day, you just poured the sauce straight in one spot.
When? How I do that?
On Monday, you gotta sprinkle it, baby. Sprinkle in the salt.
Yeah.
It's all concentrated.
Sometimes you gotta concentrate it.
You gotta sprinkle it around, baby.
No, you're right. So we're talking about, last week was foods in the mode of passion, and the week before that was foods in the mode of goodness, and now foods that are in the mode of tamas or ignorant. The ignorant. And so, as we talked about before, these three different colors, right, are or three different varieties of thought. I gave the analogy of the television, the projector, having three different colors, and those colors giving us a variety of images. And so that's going to be our theme, of course, and how we relate to other topics that we deal with every day. So foods in the mode of ignorance. Go ahead and list those things. Okay, so now of course this is all according to the ancient yoga texts, and so the perspective from the texts are foods or different ideas in the mode of different modes of nature. And so since today is mode of ignorance, it says food prepared more than 3 hours before being eaten, food that is tasteless, decomposed, and putrid. Now I always wonder what putrid, because when I think of putrid, thinking like just like you just want to puke? Is that like putrid means you want to puke? I don't know. And foods consisting of remnants and untouchable things are dear to those in the mode of tamas or ignorance.
Putrid.
Putrid. Decomposed and putrid.
Yeah, decomposed and putrid. Just fermenting and in his own juices, just putrid. Rancid, sometimes you get an oil that becomes rancid or milk becomes rotten and putrid.
Funny story. So my wife and I were cleaning up some of her aunt's kitchen. Her aunt passed away, and so we were trying to help, trying to make the house a little cleaner. And we're in the kitchen, and after food has been sitting in a certain place for so long, it no longer has its original form. It has it develops a new form.
It's morphin' time. It becomes a science project.
Yeah.
And it starts moving.
or creates things that start moving. And
put like a time-lapse camera on it.
Oh, man.
And you start seeing all this stuff coming up in the motor. Things start moving. That part is freaky. Man. Don't do it. You freak yourself out.
No.
Those time-lapse cameras are, they're amazing.
They're eye-opening.
Yeah, yes. Eye-opening is the best way of describing it.
And so I glanced past the counter and I was like, that looks kind of funny. What are those there's like thousands of little speckles. I was like, So I go on about my business.
Was it sugar?
No,
Salt?
No, it wasn't. No.
I mean, that does happen. You know, when you get, if you accidentally spill a little bit, it looks like thousands of little speckles. Or
Yeah, nah, these look like little sesame seeds. And, and
she ain't describing a Big Mac either. Sesame seed bun.
there were no buns there. So I'm like, you know, I thought, I was like, no, maybe, I was like, let me just revisit this. So I was cleaning other areas of the kitchen, and everybody's like, oh, I think that was a banana.
Wait a second.
I'm getting to it. And,
let's continue. Paint this picture.
And I said, banana? So I go over there and say, oh, those are, I mean, it's like severely decomposed banana. But what was also there would appear to be larvae. I'm not sure if that's a scientific word for it or not.
Larvae.
Yeah, larvae.
Like in that movie, The Lost Boys, with Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah.
And all those guys, and they thought they had they had Chinese food, so they thought they had one of those quart boxes full of rice, but they look back into it again, it was all those little maggots and larvae moving around.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So I'm there, like there's horror on my face because I'm like there's remnants of a banana, and I guess it was breeding ground for other creatures to, you know,
life comes from life.
Yeah,
the life of that banana brought forth life of maggots.
Oh man,
fruit flies.
So I said, babe. I said,
fruit flies.
Those aren't.
What are their pronouns?
I don't know. I don't think buzz. I don't know if that's anyway. So I said, babe, those aren't seeds. You know,
those larvae, baby.
I was like, those are bugs. And you know, of course, her face, you know, goes from to, you know, it's like shock to horror, and so we had to clean that off. But I was thinking as far as decompose, those things that decompose, and you know, very, very seldomly do we look at things from a perspective of having some type of inherent nature or some type of value associated with it from a perspective of beneficial versus not beneficial as far as consumption is concerned. Mm-hmm. But you think about it like this. I remember, and I think for most minority families, but I'll just be real blunt, because it's two black people right now talking, okay? In the black community, there are, in certain segments, there are people who desire to eat chitlins or chitterlings, and we all know that's not a slow process. Like you gotta cook that thing, and
you gotta clean them things.
You gotta clean it. You gotta clean it first. You gotta clean it, then cook it, and confirm.
What do they say in that movie Boomerang with John Witherspoon and the other woman? They don't smell too bad when you pull the membrane off. But I'm going to share something with y'all. When I was younger, I'm not going to lie, I used to like those hot dogs with the natural casing.
Yeah, a little snap.
With a little snap too when you bite into them. You're like, these are great. And if we can all say we've never had chitlins before, because again, they're cooked a certain way, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
But if we understand what a sausage is or what is a hot dog, you know, a Wiener Schnitzel, or just a Wiener, universe or something like that, then that actually is the chitlin.
The lining
is just intestines filled with the worst, and then grilled up or boiled or however which way they cure the meat, and then of course dried and aged whatever, and then of course you have a sausage or you have a hot dog.
Yeah, I remember
Natural casing.
And for those who grew up in that kind of household or that family environment.
With the chitterlings?
With chitterlings.
Go to Farmer Jack's, you be walking down the aisle and you see in that center aisle, that island where the refrigeration is, that red box with a white lid, like a bucket, it's a red bucket with the handle on it. And you can see some of it just,
It always reminded me like a hazmat box. Like
that's what it looked like. Yeah, it looked like it should have like one of those diamonds or triangles on it that says
with a little
hazard.
Skeleton face on it.
Yes, hazard material. Now that rotting, that's putrid. Like if it's all rotten and it just horrible smell and everything, that's putrid. Putrid pot.
Putrid pot.
En français, potpourri.
Putrid pot. Putrid pot.
Potpourri. That's what potpourri means, putrid pot.
Putrid pot. Yeah, because you gotta leave a lot of putrid in there.
But if you think about it, really what was the situation? It's not like they all had plumbing. So you would pass stool in a pot or a chamber pot. And if it's, if you couldn't get out the bed and it just sat there and it, you could say marinated in its own juices, and it's all hot in the room, or whatever, like that, it becomes putrid. A putrid pot, potpourri.
See, the more you know. And so as a child, I remember my grandmother. It was this memory, as well as the smell, was kind of seared into my mind and my nostrils, right? And I remember. And she didn't do it often, I must admit, or at least we didn't go over there often enough for it to happen, for me to smell it so often. But I remember the one time I did go by there, and all the windows were open. I was like, why are the windows open? The doors open. This was in hood. Like, you don't leave windows open. You gotta preserve your livelihood. But the windows that day were open, the door was open, and I remember walking in, right in the face. And I know I said ugh, or like that stank, or something like this. I remember. Grandma was like, no, those are, chitterlings. And I was like, what is that? As a kid, we're always curious as kids, right? And so she says, it's the pig stomach. And even though I ate, I don't think I ever ate, chitterlings, but I did consume other parts of the pig. But I remember the smell was so obnoxious that I knew whatever was associated with it, I didn't even want it. Whatever, because I couldn't get the association of it out of my mind versus like the taste. And so I understood at that point in my life there's certain things I'm just not going to eat. Not because they may not be salvageable as far as they may be salvageable as far as spices,
I've never had them before, but it doesn't strike me as something that could be salvageable.
People eat it.
I'm sure people eat them. I'm not questioning that. But the funny thing is, it's not just only within the black community. It's everywhere around the world. Every community has something. Just like that's with pork. Is menudo with cow?
Menudo? I thought menudo was fish.
No, it's still stomach lining in Mexico. or not stomach lining, but intestines. But I don't know if it's pig or if it's cow. And then if you go to like Ireland or something like that, they have haggis or haggis.
Haggis.
Like this, and it's sheep intestines. So like everywhere you go, everyone has something,
So menudo, beef tripe.
Beef tripe is it's still tied in with the stomach.
Okay, beef. Because I thought menudo was fish, but
Probably thinking bonito.
bonito.
Bonito is
fish.
fish
Yeah,
flakes.
yeah, fish flakes.
But again, in order to get that, you have to dry the fish, and even that has a smell to it as well.
You're right. Tripe is the second stomach of a cow.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes some people may refer to it as like a honeycomb.
Honeycomb.
Only because of the appearance of it. It's like a honeycomb. So they make you, in your mind, you get this idea like, ooh, honeycomb. Wow. Right? Like you get excited about it.
Yeah.
But, I watched a lot of culinary shows, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, everywhere you go, every country, every culture, they have something where they'll take the innards or the entrails. Either they'll stuff it with some herbs, vegetables, whatever like that, or they do something else with it. Make a soup, stews.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's appropriate to call chitlins a stew or a soup, but clearly it's it's not a dry dish.
No. But yeah, the fact that when I, as a child, like, and this is 30 years ago, remembering this like it was yesterday, and it's
The anchor is strong with that one.
very strong. And I still, and so anyway, I just wanted to share that experience, that childhood experience, and I imagine a lot of those who are listening have had similar experiences, but probably were able to get over the association with the smell, and I guess if you close your nose and put it in your mouth, I guess makes it manageable. But yeah, so on the list is things that a leaf.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. It's an odd place, but
It's golden.
a golden leaf.
It's gold leaf.
Okay. Ooh, look at it.
Got some gold leaf shoes on, baby.
But when I was thinking about and I want to always be sensitive to to everybody's perspectives, and so when I share these things, is just from the perspective of a mode of nature according to the yoga text, and those things which are decomposed. I mean, we know that you leave anything out for a certain period of time.
Cabbage can go,
Especially cooked cabbage.
can go really the other direction.
Yeah.
Collard greens can go in the wrong direction. There's a lot of things that can go in the wrong direction. Beans.
Potatoes.
Woo. I was watching someone's home one time. It was actually before COVID. And it was crazy because they got back on like the 17th of March or something like that. And everything was all shut down like on the 20th or 21st of March, But they just got back. But thing is, I was watching their home for 2 months and taking care of their rabbits and, stuff like that. And I remember smelling something, but I was like, something's not right, but I didn't see anything. You can smell it, but you don't see it.
You smell it, you'll see it.
And then you start to see little flies start to, increase in numbers, and you're like, and these are the small flies, not
little gnats.
the regular, like little gnat, small flies, fruit flies, and stuff like that.
The gnats.
And you're just like, what is all this going on?
Yeah.
Before you know it, sooner or later, you're just like, you know what, something's just not right.
Right.
She just started investigating, and I don't like going through people's stuff, but it's the kitchen. And I looked inside this little, I don't know how to best describe it. Basically, it's a bread box, but it was like a freestanding cabinet at the bottom, and on top of it had like a little countertop that you can work with, and then there was this little portion that you lift up, and it was for keeping bread. Well, they had potatoes in that spot instead of bread. And yeah, buddy, those potatoes were rotten. And all the flies started coming out, and I became the lord of those flies. And I had to tell them flies what to do. I said, you guys got to get out of here. And so I started putting a little fly tape, the sticky stuff, the ribbons, the ribbons, from the ceiling and this and that. And I was collecting all of them and took out all those potatoes, and they looked firm, but they were mush with the maggots, everything. There was all just creepy crawly, the whole works.
Yeah.
Bleached the whole thing. And I did a good job to the point where they didn't even know that anything happened when they got back. They didn't even know.
Oh, man. Did you tell them?
Oh, I told them.
Oh, okay.
But if y'all people only knew what you done put me through. And man. It was a mess. But got it cleaned up, bleached the whole situation down properly, and brought it back to its original glory, but the smell of potatoes, rotten. And they weren't cooked. It was just regular potatoes.
Just regular potatoes.
And they didn't just grow eyes. They grew mouths, legs, arms, teeth, everything, wings. It was a mess. So fruits and vegetables, all that stuff can go bad. Anything and everything can go bad. But it's not just a meat thing either.
Right.
Anything can go bad, really.
Yeah. And so what's being mentioned is that those who desire to eat those things, who have like this impetus to eat things that are rotten or decaying.
Like a fear factor kind of a personality.
Like a fear factor. Oh, man. Like, we all, I don't know who's of the generation to remember Fear Factor, but the amount
Pickle, bull, pizzle.
Yeah.
Horse dingus.
Horse dingus.
Pickled.
Yeah.
And they eat this stuff.
I remember, was it Chappelle show? He said, was it
Tyrone Biggins?
He's like, I came to win.
Yeah. My favorite. You got any more of that bull pizzle?
But you have, depending on one's level of thought, their value system. It's explained that those who have a lower value system desire to eat these things, and I want to make sure I clarify, not saying this is the only thing that's there and that's all you can. But if you have other options, but you still choose to eat that which is decayed or that which is putrid, then it means that one's level of awareness in life is on the lower levels of awareness. Because those things which are decaying have a certain value of what they do to one's body. And I think, and you may be able to, I know you are able to elaborate further on what unhealthy food does, or decaying food does to one's body. How it could affect one's internal system or the digestive system.
It's more or less, in short, if we look at it from a microbiological perspective, is that certain foods have certain, or shall I say, certain decaying foods, rotten, putrid like this, they attract, or shall I say, they provide the perfect environment for certain microorganisms that could really be hurtful and harmful and produce toxic byproducts for us. And because it's toxic, enough of it can make you sick. And if anyone has ever eaten, even accidentally, something that had some mold on it, and you didn't know it, it was tucked in maybe it was some mold on a piece of cheese. And I'm not referring to blue cheese, because blue cheese gets its color and
From mold, right?
because of a certain type of mold in there. Right, exactly. So there are some foods that, again, due to that specific type of mold or microorganism, bacteria that's maybe on there, and you don't see it, you're like, wow, this is going to be a great sandwich. You start eating it, and then before you know it, oh, my stomach. And you find out that you have food poisoning, and you're vomiting. You're trying to purge it in some way, shape, or form. You'll see if it's something not good for you, your body is going to try to get rid of it in some way, shape, or form. So you'll vomit or you'll pass stool in a wet manner, as they say, diarrhea, and so many other different things. But it's really that. It's the microorganisms that are really creating well, they're happy on that decaying piece of food, but inside our bodies, it wreaks havoc. And it disrupts the fauna or flora, bacterial flora or fauna. I can't remember if it's the right word. It disrupts all that in our whole entire body, and they're all butting heads. Man, we was here first. You get your microorganism butt out of here. Flush.
Yeah.
Because that's really what microorganisms, they do. And that's one thing. I know we're talking about food that are putrid and rancid, but it's interesting, as you were pointing out. I was thinking about pigs, or some may call them hogs, and how we see a lot of, or at least we hear stories, but if you're fortunate, you'll see. I remember when I was in a rural village in India, Vrindavan, just south of, like 80, 90 kilometers south of Delhi. And you'll see the pigs in the gutter. A lot of sewage and stuff is in there. And there's stool and stuff like that. And these pigs, they're literally eating it.
Oh.
Like yum yum, like they eating it up, and like I tear up oatmeal. That's how they were tearing that up. It's like, like a kid eating ice cream. They all up in the cone.
Wow.
And you're just thinking to yourself, they really like it. Hey, Mikey.
They like it.
They like it.
Yeah.
And we, or most people in general, would say this isn't a delicacy.
Right.
No one's going to sit there and like, hey, save me some, Right. No one in their right mind, at least in their right mind, would say that. But for the pigs, it is a delicacy or a treasure. And so I was thinking how what may be considered trash or waste for one person is another person's treasure.
Yeah.
And what is interesting in this world, and I know this may seem a little off topic, but it actually is kind of tied in with it in that, like say for instance, trees. Trees have waste. I mean, every living, breathing organism has a byproduct, waste. And so oxygen is the waste of trees. Like if a tree could poop, it will put out oxygen.
It's good oxygen. It's a good air.
And yet for us, we're like, I need this to live.
We need more air.
Bring me, come on, trees, produce some more. I can use some more of that. And so, like, we're breathing that in, but then our waste or our exhaust is carbon dioxide, and they want that. So it becomes like this symbiotic relationship.
No way. Hold on. This is the first time I've ever heard this.
You just now thinking about
This
it?
is the first time I'm ever hearing.
That's the problem is when I think about science.
So you're saying that the byproduct of the trees.
So if a tree was to fart, I've never heard a tree fart before, but I'm just saying if a tree was to fart or exhale or whatever like that, release air, release gas, we take that in like this is the best thing since sliced bread. This is like a peanut butter jelly sandwich to me, baby. Give me some more.
And they like
And when we release our carbon dioxide from our bodies, when we exhale our exhaust, you can say, they suck that stuff up like it's the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Wow.
So here we are working together. And so when we talk about being in a mode of ignorance or eating things in a mode of ignorance, which side are we on? Best to be on the side of those who are human.
Oh.
Not on the side that are attracted to the waste. But again, we all are working together. So I think about stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just like, for example, each animal has a certain type of waste. Now, we all are familiar with ammonia in terms of cleaning. We know what bleach is. Lysol, Clorox, bleach, right? But then we also know ammonia. Like, it's great for cleaning your stoves, kitchen appliances, your refrigerator, stuff like that. I mean, the smell could be strong.
Super strong, yeah.
But ammonia is ammonia, right? So, the human body, when we urinate, there is actually an ammonia compound in there. We say urine, but it's urea, all right? So we release that, and it's coming from the breakdown of proteins and other stuff like that, right? And so fish, as well as birds and frogs, their release looks different. We all know what bird poop look like and stuff like that. So uric acid, and they release that. And then I'm bringing this up, and I'm using the word acid for a reason. You have different microorganisms, bacteria and so forth. And when they're eating whatever it is, the sugars and stuff like that, carbohydrates, and they're breaking things down and causing things to decompose. We call it decompose, but they're metabolizing things. That's the other crazy thing. Decomposition and metabolism, they're actually really the same thing, but different speeds, and how it's done. But anyway, bacteria, they break things down, or microorganisms, they break things down. And they release acid of some type. Yeast does the same thing.
Yeast?
It releases a certain type of acid. And it also creates a byproduct, specifically like alcohol, right?
Right.
And so for humans, we enjoy the waste of yeast. We enjoy the waste of other microorganisms because from yeast, their waste gives us alcoholic beverages, right? From other microorganisms, when you take grapes and grapes begin to decompose and rot, and those microorganisms are there and they're producing some alcoholic content, then you get what we call wine. And then as that continues its decomposition process even further, then you get what is called vinegar. Like that's where vinegar comes from. It's actually the breakdown and waste of all these different bacteria mixed in with the rotting, decomposing, things of that nature. So it's really interesting, even though we're talking about this, but then I'm also thinking about all the things that we enjoy consuming. Not that I drink wine or that I, chase after vinegar or anything like that. But it's actually, we utilize these different processes, like to make bread. You need the yeast to do certain things and to do what they do to create the alcohol and create the bubbles. And therefore how you get the little air pockets and stuff in bread, how it rises. So I know I'm saying all these different things. In Vedic culture, vinegar and yeast and stuff aren't used in Vedic culture. But at the end of the day, don't take it as an attack or anything of that nature, because we're all guilty in some way, shape, or form. Like I used to tear up some pickles. The dill pickles, Vlasic, like I used to tear them up, so it's like we're all guilty in some way, shape, or form. And just the whole point is, at least in this conversation, in terms of foods that are mode of ignorance, it's, in some countries, it's ice all the time.
It's ice?
Like more or less all the time. Like their summer is only like maybe a couple of weeks.
Oh.
And the whole place is just ice.
Yeah.
So good luck doing laundry. Like there's no washer machines and stuff like that. Like they still wash their clothes by hand. They still hang them up outside. They still, it's so freezing cold, sub-zero temperatures and so forth. I mean, trying to get in any fresh produce, they can't grow it. A lot of the stuff had to be shipped in, and most of the food that's there is going to be meat. So, fish and meat. So, of course, obviously, as you were pointing out, depending upon where you are, sometimes that may be the only thing you have is meat or, whatever it may be. But if you have the opportunity to eat something that is of a higher standard or higher quality, best to aim for that which is of the highest in quality that will give proper nourishment and so forth to the body, than to, in the presence of options, good things, and running off for something that's rotten and putrid, like like the pigs run off for stool, even though they have the option to eat fresh carrots and corn and everything else like that, they still run off for the stool. So if you have a better option, always go for the higher taste.
And
that is the point.
What's also, and I was telling this to my wife earlier today, sometimes it's a curse sometimes to know things, because you have to think about it. No one else thinks about it, but you're forced to,
That's my whole life, man. Just education. You learn and all these different things, and you're just like, really? Is that what allergies are? And I won't tell you what it is because it's not part of the conversation right now. But it's like, really? You telling me that I'm sneezing because this is really this?
Swallowed.
This saffron is great. Wait a second. You're telling me saffron is what?
Yeah.
And so it's crazy, when we think about everything. But it's far out. That's all I have to say. When you know so many different things and you're just like, well, do the best we can with what we got.
We do the best you can.
What does the Lord say that we should offer to him, or what should we eat?
Yeah.
And that's why we lean towards what is scriptural, So even in Christianity, right? Mm-hmm. In the Bible, there's certain things that are described, not to eat certain things like pig or anything like that, or swine.
Yeah. Bottom feeders.
Yeah, bottom feeders, stuff like that. So there's instructions that are given. But again, keep in mind that is for those who are simply trying to live, in short, as it is stated there in the Bible, those who are sincerely trying to give up their old deceitful life and take up their new cloth, which is Christ-like. Mm.
And so one of the things that I often think about, especially in, I won't even just say Western society, because this is all over the world. But the if any, we'll just talk about the U.S. for example. If we saw not we, but like if someone saw an hour-old deer in the road, you know, the association with the deer on the road is like, ugh, I would never eat that, right? Mm-hmm. But if you shoot it, different. Now it's like it's dead for other reasons. So now I'm still gonna spice it because you can take the same roadkill, spice it up, take all you know.
But one thing I will say, I got to give credit to the hunters and so forth. Mm-hmm. And one thing that's very important to note, which as human beings we don't eat humans. I mean, there may be some people who do. I know there are people that like to eat placenta. I understand. I get it. But, but, I got a Tommy gun. Yeah. I love my Tommy guns. But anyway, but, you know, there are people who not necessarily eat human beings. But thing is, when someone, again, doesn't have to necessarily be human, but humans do fall into the category. When a mammal or any animal passes away and all the organs start shutting down, these bodies are so amazing that every organ communicates, every cell communicates with the other cells. You have an endocrine system, and they're sending out signals, different hormones and so forth, letting the others know. Self-destruct, terminate, you know. Dun, 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 dun. The alarm is going off all throughout
danger,
the body.
Robinson, danger.
You know, it's too late. We're dead. We're dead, Robinson. Terminate, you know. And so what happens, everything starts to release.
Johnny Five, not alive.
Not alive. And it starts breaking everything down. Yeah. And so that's when it starts becoming this rancid, putrid body. And so hunters understand that if they shoot a deer, for example, that they have to, what they quote unquote call, dress the body in the field. And what they mean by dress is not that they put a costume on it and say, "Mommy, look, it's a reindeer." You're gonna lead Santa's sleigh tonight, little buddy. No, you're gonna be on Santa's plate tonight. Yeah. But dressing in the sense that they have to immediately slit the gut open, the underbelly open, and start pulling out the entrails. They have to immediately take it out, because if they don't, it's going to send certain chemicals and stuff throughout the entire body and make the meat bad. So that's the thing. When an animal or even a human being dies, right then and there on the spot, you have to remove the entrails. Because otherwise, all those signals are being released, telling the entire body, time to decompose and break down. Because while we're still alive in the body, it's not going to, it's decomposing in one sense, yes, but not at the rate that it would when we pass away, if that makes sense. So yeah, as long as we're in this body, everyone is like, okay, everything is good. All right, keep it up and running. But as soon as that leaves, tear it down, decompose.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll make the meat go bad. So that's why they don't just take a roadkill. Because if it's been sitting there, you don't know, because it wasn't dressed, you can't eat the meat. It's bad. It's poisoned. Basically, it's a poison that just gets released.
That meat is poison. Poison. Yeah.
Hey, don't trust a deer with a big butt and a smile.
Yeah.
Hey, it's your prerogative.
Yeah.
You can do what you want to do.
But no, I didn't know. So even on humans too, they
human beings
remove the entrails, huh?
Well, I mean, unless you're going to eat the human body, but you know, what they do is they have to put it on ice ASAP. You got to put that body on ice immediately, because otherwise, as we all know, that if a body is kept uniced and without the embalming fluids injected into the veins and so forth, I mean, decomposition. I mean, it started like this stuff is starting now. You know, like it's shutting. Well, it's already shut down, but it's breaking down. So it's gonna start stinking. So I was reading a verse earlier today in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Actually, with Muchakunda was speaking, 10th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 51. And it points out that this same body, which was known and seen as a king, you know, someone high position, you know, a ruler, eventually that same body will not be considered a king, but it will become either decomposed, you know, or cremated, burned into ashes, or eaten by animals and become stool.
Yeah.
So these bodies, they will break down on you.
Yeah, and it's so unique as to the education we receive in the world, especially like as children, because we're not taught a lot of things.
Like, for a reason, I'm sure.
I mean, of course, you know. So, what do they call it? Cognitive dissonance.
You know, it's done on purpose. You know, so that we're desensitized. If we grew up in the South, the way unfortunately, there are not enough of our relatives or ancestors, or you can say, or just people in general, that go back to those historical way of living. And what I mean by that is where there are still some communities that will still buy a hog and they'll dress the hog, meaning they'll hang it up and they'll butcher it right in the backyard underneath a certain type of tree, you know, and in an open place in one sense where the kids can look out the window and they can see what mom or what dad is doing. It could be chickens. You know, I don't know if you've ever seen that. I personally haven't seen it in person, but I've seen like YouTube videos of chickens. There was one woman, she was like, this is how we, in short, prepare Sunday dinner. And she was showing how she would take the chickens, you know, slit the throat. She got a little cone thing that she put the chicken in upside down and slit the throat, and head falls off and the thing is all flopping and moving around and blood is draining out of it. And then she boiling it or dip it in some hot boiling water to loosen up the feathers so she can pluck the feathers, and she's showing the whole thing. And it looked good as some fried chicken. But when we don't see that and we think, oh, you know, just go to the store and just buy some chicken, you know, then yeah, we're disconnected. We're not in touch with what actually takes place, you know, and so we don't know what goes on behind the scenes, or what it takes to get to this fried chicken dinner that's on my plate with these biscuits and coleslaw and corn on the cob. You know, so when we are disconnected in that way, we are in one sense desensitized, and therefore we think that it's okay. I was thinking about a verse that actually is in the Bible in regards to how the Lord actually takes account of like certain things, like if we're eating the wrong things.
In Leviticus, and
he takes account, and then he says even if we, because again, if you eat red meat, I mean, you cannot avoid blood, and the scripture says that's why it's called red meat. You know, and hemoglobin is a very important aspect of the red blood cell. RBC is what they call it, red blood cell. And hemoglobin is a very important aspect of it. It's a type of protein that actually holds the the ferrous or iron, which attracts the oxygen. That's how the oxygen connects with the red blood cell, so it gets red. And, you know, you've got oxygen going throughout the human body, you know, via the lungs, take it in, right? So you cannot avoid blood in one sense, because the hemoglobin is still there in red meat. That's why it's red. And but it points out that, yeah, the Lord takes account of that. And he also takes account of if we, you know, kill our brother too. You know, he takes account of all those things. And I remember reading a commentary from some of the, you know, saintly personalities and those who have really carefully studied the scriptures. And it's very deep what they point out, that when we get so comfortable or we're desensitized to killing animals, that there is the potential that we become desensitized to what we do to each other. How one may not, you know, like if someone is used to slitting the throats of cows or whatever like that, then if they're used to doing that, or, you know, butchering their own animals, then because they're so used to seeing that, to slit the throat of another man, you know, what's the problem? It's another animal.
Yeah, mammal.
Right?
Technically, it's another mammal.
And so, unfortunately, sometimes people, as we've seen in the past, have misused the scripture to consider those who were not considered pure, as white as snow, to be considered animals.
Therefore, they can be treated in any way.
And therefore, you can treat them any which way. So therefore, it's no big deal to lynch. Because isn't that what we do with a pig when we butcher it?
Yeah, you gotta hang it.
You hang it, it's being hung by the throat, and then you use a blowtorch, because you got to burn the hair off the body. You know, or you use fire to burn the hair off the body. So then when you take another black man and you lynch him, hang him up, and you lynch him, that's the same thing, and you got to burn him. And you're doing the same thing when you're dealing with a cow or a pig.
Yeah.
So what's the difference? Meaning one becomes so desensitized that it is.
Yeah.
And then what's crazy is that they even have postcards. Historically speaking, there was postcards, people having a person lynched from a poplar tree, all burnt and everything, and everyone having a picnic all around it. Like it's a theme park.
Yeah.
And it was as if it was no big deal.
Yeah.
Like this is customary.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry that may seem like we went off topic, but it's all tied in because it goes back to that consciousness. As you rightly pointed out, if we have options in front of us, foods are in the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. We got a smorgasbord, if that's what you want to call it. The old country buffet is right in front of us.
Yeah.
The Cracker Barrel is there.
The Ponderosa.
Ram horns, you know. You know, the golden griddle is right in front of us, you know, and we have all these options, and we still choose those options that are in the mode of ignorance. Then it would not be a surprise that one would, being so strongly influenced by foods that are in the mode of ignorance, strongly influenced by just the mode of ignorance in general, that one would be okay with or desensitized enough to act since they're doing, right? Because how do we understand the way a person thinks? We hear what they speak. And how do you, and then like really know how they speak or think, you know, you see it in their thoughts. So if they think a certain way, they're going to, based on how they think, it influences their speech and their actions. And so it's all connected. It's all tied in. It's dangerous. You'll see even great prophets like the Prophet Muhammad, peace be unto him, and so many other different saintly personalities and prophets. And they speak against eating things that are rotten and putrid, you know, and that these things are very, very, very dangerous. So it's not just only the ancient Vedic text. One can see this in various scriptures,
Right.
all around the world. So and even those who don't practice a particular spiritual path, they have some knowledge or wisdom on certain things as well.
And that's the thing too, because you can see, I guess when you're outside of the matrix, maybe in one sense, one could say, you see like the inner workings of things, and you just become aware of, so that smell means this, or the liquids coming from that, means this.
It means soy sauce.
It's soy.
I'm sorry. I haven't had it in a while, but I do like soy sauce. I'm not going to say I don't. But we also have to understand, really, what is it?
Fermented soy. Yeah, the juice.
It's been fermenting for a while.
Yeah.
Brewing.
Yeah.
Festering. Uncle Fester. But yeah, so looking at and you said something that reminded me that if we are somewhat conditioned to think a certain way and never question it, then why should any information which questions what we think matter, right? Mm-hmm. So just like you have somebody who is a cannibal, because cannibals do exist. Yeah.
They exist in this world and other places as well. But if they had a choice, they would choose the human meat.
But why?
Because you develop a taste for it.
No, I got you. But why do they say they choose the human meat? So that's the other thing that becomes, especially when we look at different cultures and stuff like that. And I'm not justifying cannibalism. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying, man, Christian Dave, man, brother, you've been working out, dude. And I need to get these gains.
It's like, is that a rump roast?
No. So there have been different cultures that when they see someone, especially someone that is actually like strong and fit, stop looking at me like that, no, man.
You showed you got some pretty lips.
We're gonna go real good with that asparagus tonight. When someone's like really strong, if someone's a cannibal, that is, and they look at someone that's like, man, this person got some muscles. I don't know what that person's been eating, but let me consume them so that I can obtain those qualities that they have. And so a lot of people, or certain cultures, or just microcultures, the cannibals, microcultures, certain niches, is that they may very well look at another human being for certain qualities. Wow, this person has a certain type of, demeanor, so let me eat their heart, let me eat their organs, let me eat their muscles so that I can obtain those powers.
Yeah.
Just like you have some people in some cultures, Asian cultures, and I won't go too deep into it, but they are looking at fertility, right? And so they're like, well, you know what? My asparagus is kind of soggy, but if I eat some shark penis, maybe, I can increase my fertility. And, like this. So then some people may eat certain things because they feel that, oh, this will give me that necessary power or that ability or that attribute so that I can perform and do certain things, right?
Yeah.
And so that unfortunately tends to be like the reasoning or logic for some of these, subcultures or very, very microcultures like this. But then at the same time, when we think about food, even fruits and vegetables, are we not, in one sense, kind of doing the same thing? This looks healthy, longevity.
Yeah. Stamina.
Right. It's like, well, hey, let me eat these fruits. Let me eat these vegetables. Because again, someone may say, well, what's really the problem? Because if we look at everything scientifically, and I'm just saying,
It's pure science.
being an honest, sincere scientist, I mean, really, what is the difference? Just like we had the one young man, he was pointing out, he said, I remember growing up being told that we're all made of stardust. And so scientifically speaking, what our bodies are composed of, again, you have your carbon, your hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, all these different things. And then we look at what we consume, and you'll see those vital minerals. We say vitamins, shorten it up, but those vital minerals. And we see that, oh, these are the same things that we find in other, whether it's trees, vegetables, other animals, aquatics. The stars are comprised of hydrogen and so forth like that. Even the sun, hydrogen is there, right? All these different things. So someone may say, well, really, what is the difference? They're just like building blocks. They're all on the periodic table of elements. We're consuming them all the time. Does it really matter? And in one sense, looking at it from that perspective, I could honestly say, no, it doesn't matter. But those details, as I had mentioned before, there are certain foods that create a very conducive environment for certain microorganisms that produce a byproduct that is very toxic to our existence or to our bodies. And so by consuming those rotten, putrid, decomposed food items, we're going to get ourselves sick, in terms of like food poisoning and, anything else. So in one sense, does it really matter? No, but if you're wanting to, quote unquote, preserve your life or your existence, it actually does matter. And so there has to be a consciousness behind it. Otherwise, if there isn't any consciousness behind it, no consideration, then you can be a goat.
Give me that can.
Eat some cans,
Give me the can. Give me the can, anime.
You can eat cans, you can, but then at the same time, what is it that your body can actually handle?
Yeah.
Now, you have, in Michigan, just for the fun facts. So we know that there are black bears that exist in Michigan. Most people don't know that. I had a client that I sold 2 cars to. He lived in the Upper Peninsula.
Did he get mauled?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. They black bears, they're not brown bears. Brown bears will attack you. Black bears usually go hooga booga, then they kind of run the opposite direction.
Okay.
They're docile, innocent. Hey boo boo. So like there's black bears up there in Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and there's also cougars, and so mountain lions.
Oh,
yeah, cougars, not pumas. A different age group. Pumas, cougars, mountain lions, panthers.
But yes.
So one of the things that is a common characteristic behavioral characteristic of mountain lions, cougars, is that they'll catch a deer, and they may not necessarily eat it all in that one sitting. They may nibble a little bit here and there, but they'll take their prey and kind of bury it under some leaves and some rubbish and whatever like that. So obviously that food, that deer, that kill, is going to become rancid. It's going to break down, rot, right? But thing is, those mountain lions whose digestive tract is only 3 times the length of their body, they can easily, and the acid that's in their stomach is extremely strong. So they can come back later on, a day or two, maybe even a week later, and eat that rotten corpse and not get sick. Whereas if we were to eat that rotten corpse, and our digestive tract for a human being is like 12, we'll just say roughly 12 feet, or 12 times our length of our height. So if you're 6 feet tall, that means you have 72 feet of pink plumbing. Whereas if you're a 3 foot or 4 foot mountain lion, right, times 3, 3 times 4, that's 12 feet. And so you have a shorter track that all that food has to go through, and you have a stronger digestive system, whereas our digestive system is not that strong. And we're trying to put something that's rotten and decaying in our bodies. We have a greater chance, in terms of just probability-wise, we have a greater chance of getting sick by eating such a rotten corpse. But there are living entities on this planet that are specifically designed to eat certain things. And that's just looking at the science of it.
And I think that's hard.
And they don't get sick.
Yeah.
I've never seen a mountain lion go into the doctor's office talk about something. I think I got a cold or a flu, doctor. I got an upset stomach.
I was listening to this discussion yesterday, and it was talking about kind of the human condition of we sometimes think just because we can, we should. So the analogy was like
And can we? Meaning, like, are we really able to do it?
And so the analogy, which was like spot on, especially for American culture, is that we have sometimes we think, oh, if a car can go 200 miles an hour, that must be the fast car. I want that car, right? 250 miles an hour. I think McLarens go, Bugattis go like 250, 275, 275 miles an hour. Like just something
They go
crazy.
fast, yeah. They're really fast.
But the point is, you're never going to go that speed in America. Not safely. Not without tickets, And so it's like we sometimes idolize the fact that we can do something, therefore we should. But it's like there's a range of things that a speed. Here's the speed limit. I was talking to my wife on the phone, and I was going a little fast, so I can get here. And what had happened was I was quickly approaching a unmarked Ford Explorer. And I was like, is that?
Oh, it is.
And so I got probably maybe one car length behind. I was one car length behind it.
Oh, that's good.
And he flashed his lights. Like from the back.
Yeah, from the back. But it was stopped and you were coming to a stop, right?
No. This is on highway.
Oh, okay. I was thinking you guys were coming to like a stop or something like that. I was like, oh, if you want to come, that's good. You got space between you and the other vehicle.
No.
Okay, if you guys are moving, that's a whole other story.
Yeah, so I'm moving, and he can see by my speed that I'm about to pass him. So in order to be courteous to me, he flicks his lights.
You may not want to do that. Like a rattlesnake, it shakes its tail. Like, you may not want to do that. I will bite you.
And so I told my wife, like, I got to get off the phone now. And so I realized, okay, what speed am I going? All right, let me go the limit, right? But the nature of human beings, we always want to kind of push the limit. You know, what is, I can get away with it, right? Mm-hmm. And I get it, you know, going 10 miles over, 20 miles over. Shoot, if there's nobody on the road, 30, you know.
Yeah.
But what happens is there's limits for a reason.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Because
preach.
You have
take your time.
If we're talking just a highway, there's a reason why you don't see trucks going 90 miles an hour. Can you imagine? Like,
especially when you're driving in the mountains.
Ooh.
That's scary.
That's super scary. And but even like little cars, you know.
Also scary.
You know,
when they're, you know, moving too fast.
Like I always see, and I chuckle every time I see it because it just looks funny. But those signs for box trucks not to hit curves too quickly because
it's like this,
it's like a little tipped over. But yeah, one night, my wife and I and our daughter were driving to Dallas. We get to Dallas at 2:30 a.m. late. We're 5 minutes from my mom's house, less than 5 minutes. Out of the corner of my eye, I see a semi truck with a trailer attached, like flipping, like on one of not there was an emergency ramp, but it's like one of those lanes where it's only one car at a time. Those kind of lanes, you know, where you're getting ready to merge onto the interstate kind of lane. And apparently it was going so fast that when it tried to brake, it just flipped. And so you have the tractor, the trailer, and I'm like, I don't even know how they're gonna get this off, because this was like this was a ramp like going down. So
I know what you mean. Yeah, like
how are they gonna get this off?
Right.
But I realized that maybe the truck driver was sleepy, or maybe he.
That's true. That makes sense.
Had more confidence that he should have, you know, about the speed and the turn. But anyway, I'm saying that to say this, that we have limits. In life, you can see different limits, right? I thought I could fly out of a window. This body can't do that. I can fly, but ain't gonna do nothing. You know. But as we look at, as you were talking about, oh man, my goodness. All right, we'll wrap up here. But as you were talking about the intestines and the length and the probability,
we don't have the qualifications.
We don't have.
In short, you know, to do certain things, there are limits.
There are limits, but if we're not told, like, hey, your digestional tract is only so long, which means whatever you eat, it's going to take that long to get through. And if, depending on the content, the quality, and the make of the food is not conducive to your digestional tract, then you are going to potentially harbor, or your body's going to potentially harbor toxic waste.
In a nutshell, yeah. Straightforward.
That is, in the future, going to give you problems.
And when you sit on that toilet, You will bear witness.
and
You
so,
will feel the fire. Yeah.
and
What did I eat?
And then you start to. There's now a study. I'm not sure how long ago it came out, but there is a link to male impotence and the eating of red meat. How
Crazy.
red meat, after a certain age, starts to make it very difficult to maintain one's, strength. And so I thought to myself, this is far out.
Yeah.
Like, literally what you're eating for a male, I'm not sure what it does to women, but for a male over a period of time, it just makes it more difficult. And so you see all these Viagra, these blue chews, these to the max, you see
To the max.
you see,
Wow, that's crazy.
anyway, all these different male pills, because there's an understanding that after a certain age, it's going to be difficult for you.
And you know what? It may not necessarily be in that same study, but there's a couple of other health studies associated with that. In terms of red meat, they also include sugar and alcohol.
Yes.
Tied in with, male performance.
The crazy thing is,
And too much working out at the gym.
too much. Wow. Now that's crazy.
That is crazy. It blew my mind when I came
Now,
across.
is it working out or is it steroid usage?
No. It's not referring to using certain type of sports enhancing
Supplements.
or anything like that. It's specifically working out too much. That'll actually cause some problems too.
Wow.
There's some people who just overdo it. It's not referring to, the steroids and stuff like that. It's just specifically working out too much. Because also you have to keep in mind, the testicles are outside of the body for a reason. The brother's got to stay cool.
Cool.
So when one goes to the gym, obviously blood is circulating throughout the body. That blood is not cold.
Right.
You're going to start sweating. Your body's getting hot. So if you're having all this high temperature, when the testicles get too hot, it starts to kill the sperm. That's why the testicles are outside the body, and that's why the testicles drop as far as they can, hacky sack, so that they, so you don't kill the sperm.
Right.
Otherwise, you just, in one sense, because you kill off all the sperm, then you're not potent.
Yeah. You're impotent.
You're shooting blanks. The shot's fired.
With no shot.
Kids, there's a cap gun.
These are warning shots.
These are potentially what I can do.
The demonstration.
Demonstration shots. This is what you could be getting. This is just the preview pumps. Was that what Tony Baker called them? Preview pumps? But it's crazy that if nutrition, meaning red meat, and I'm sure there's a certain limit to things, but red meat, sugar, alcohol, too much exercise where the body is too hot. Even they talk about sitting in hot tubs and saunas.
Yeah, I did hear about that. Yeah.
Because of the hot heat.
Right.
No one really thinks, and then not getting enough sleep.
Wow.
Dag nabbit.
Yeah.
So like all those things are tied in, and then just to sprinkle in something else, just real brief, just sprinkle in something else in regards to the gut, because this is where you were starting off, and you know how things lead with impotence and so forth. But also tied in with the gut. Sometimes the gut, I'll tell you this. There was a point where I was actually going to work for a pharmacy, but it was a unique pharmacy where the head pharmacists that were running this, it was like it wasn't your regular like CVS, Arbor Drugs or anything like that. Arbor Drugs is out of business, or F&M, they're out of business too. But
Arbor Drugs.
they became CVS or replaced them. Excuse me, they were replaced by CVS. But basically, these pharmacies, it wasn't one of those big ones. It was a specialized pharmacy that, let's say, for instance, if some doctor prescribed a medication, and if you are allergic to certain things or other dietary restrictions, you don't eat eggs or consume gelatin like this, then what they'll do is they'll give you that medication prescribed by the doctor, but they'll put it in different types of capsule, like a veggie capsule instead of the one with gelatin or whatever needed to be done. They'll take care of you according to your dietary restrictions. So those pharmacists, they were actually, one of them was actually doing research in regards to the bacteria in your stomach. And what he was pointing out was that the stomach is like the second brain in one sense, meaning what is happening in our digestive system, our gut, it has a huge influence on the way that we think. And to see that there are people doing research, and there were already like pamphlets and stuff like that already out in regards to this study. So there's already studies out there. You can do your research and, don't just take my word for it. But I was looking to actually work with them because I wanted to be a part of that research as well and go into all that study and science of it. And what's so interesting is that when we sing before honoring a beautifully prepared meal that's been, again, prepared with love, the prayers, and we hear from that teacher how by controlling the genitals, we control the belly. And by controlling the belly, if you control the tongue, you can control the belly. And then when you control the belly, you can control the genitals. Like this. And just seeing that research, that study is being put forth in that way, and you see it in relationship to those prayers that actually talk about this, and you're just like, wow, here is the scientific proof of what we're praying or what we're saying. And it's just like, this is so far out that it really is connected and tied to the way we think in our overall health and well-being is what is put into our stomachs.
And last point, because we're about 30 minutes over now, but
you're used to it.
Yeah, I know. So, but one thing that I just lost it. Wait a second.
Bring it back. Is it tied in with the gut? Is it tied in with nutrition, the brain, the senses?
Yes, the brain. Dang it. See, that's what happens when you get older. Something comes and then it just disappears. I lost it. Anyway.
Speaking into existence.
Okay.
You just have to relax.
Yeah.
It's right there. Grab it.
Yeah, I ain't got it. But yeah, so, these, of course, as always, this is, don't take our word for it. You can research it yourself, these perspectives. But the main point is just to bring some awareness, another point of view, right? And so that we can look at things from other perspectives, because very often, especially in Western society, we're not told the whole truth. We're told maybe a little fraction of truth sprinkled around untruth. Mm-hmm. And so the idea of diet is extremely important, especially when looking at it from got it. All right. Looking at it from a point of value, like how healthy versus unhealthy, in that spectrum. But the point in which I was making is that if we really want to be a scientist about this, if we really want to experiment, let's say if one's considering themselves omnivore, right? Mm-hmm. That means someone who eats both vegetables and meats. Mm-hmm. And if you, of course, this will require discipline, but if you for a couple months, maybe even a month, but I'll say a couple months, switch your diet to one of a herbivore, and then you go back to what you were doing before, you will see your thoughts, your digestion, your energy, all these things will change, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if you do it for longer than that, then even more subtle aspects will start to become very apparent. Mm-hmm. Like your sense of smell becomes sharper. And then you realize, wait a second. Is this was this the smell the whole time? And then you're like, what was I smelling before? Mm-hmm. And you have a reality check. But like I said, don't take my word for it. You try it. If you feel froggy, but most won't, because the idea of something perhaps taking away one's joy or one's source of happiness, despite whatever benefits may be there on the other side of the spectrum, is too much. It's like, I don't even want to experiment with it, right? Mm-hmm. But which is why we're not everyone can be a scientist or have an engineer kind of mindset. Meaning,
or if one is not able to be the guinea pig themselves, they can at least, inquire from maybe someone that is able to do.
Yeah, one who is a guinea pig. So, thank you all so much. So this concludes the 3 different modes of nature on from eating: goodness, passion, and ignorance. And next week we'll talk about action in the 3 different modes. All right.
Hey, there's one thing I am interested in. I know it's been maybe 1 week so far. Mm-hmm. Of the other experiment that you had given last time, which was to avoid onion and garlic. Was that a 2-week thing or was that a 3-week thing?
That was a 3-week thing.
3-week? Okay. I'm still interested in knowing what everyone's results.
I'm curious if anybody even tried it. Well, who knows? Yeah.
If you're doing it, let us know.
Yeah, if you're doing it, let us know. Let us know what the difference is.
Yeah.
And then type it up.
Yeah.
Write it up.
Let us know.
Yeah. All right. So until next time, go ahead. Tighten this up. See, I gotta get this delts. Anyway, next time. Still flex. Stay flex. Don't look at me like that.
Triceps.
Which one's delts? Delts are here.
Yeah, you go.
Triceps. Yeah, you know what? Anatomy wasn't my thing, but I'm learning.
Anatomy wasn't his thing, but physiology was.
All right. Flex.